I'd like to share with you a story I haven't told before to many people. And that is my father, Marvin Galper. He was a psychologist, but he also specialized in cult deprogramming. Very unique. He used to actually, families used to hire him to talk with their kids who were in cults to help deprogram them out of their narrow box of the world they lived in these cults. And I remember he'd come home for these projects. He'd be so exhausted, like just so exhausted. He said, I asked him, Dad, what was it like to work with these kids? And I call them kids because they are kids of the family who've lost their kids to these cults. And he'd say that he found it so challenging because they were so locked into their behaviors, conditioned a certain way, taught by certain gurus to do certain things. And he had to help them shift their mindset to see the truth of what they were doing themselves and their families, and not having the options they could have if they opened up their mind to what was possible. And I relate to him so much because in some ways, I've been in a sales cult for my whole life. And maybe you can relate to this. And I had an experience where I was deprogrammed metaphorically out of the cult. You know what the sales cult is, right? The sales cult of chasing people, closing people, playing the numbers game, all the things we taught to do by the sales gurus that we know now no longer work anymore and now feel uncomfortable and awkward for us. And the story behind this, when I got deprogrammed, is my famous conference call story, where I was on a conference call many years ago with a potential client. We were selling software at the time, and I was giving them a live demo of our product. And it was me on the phone with 4 other people in their offices across the country, a live demonstration, and they were loving the product, lots of feedback. They said, Ari, this is fantastic. We love it. And it was like the most amazing phone call. It was like a love fest on the phone. It just felt so right. And I felt like this would be the one sale I would love to make because it just felt so perfect for me and them. And the call came to a close, and I said my goodbyes. And I took my arm and I reached in my hand. I reached for the phone in the middle of the conference room table, hit the off button, and by complete accident, rather than hitting the off button, I hit the mute button instead. By complete accident, they're right next to each other. And then a small voice inside of me said, Ari, go to the dark side. Be a fly in the wall. You had nothing to lose. They heard a small click. They thought I hung up the phone, but I stayed on the line for a couple of more minutes. What I heard was the moment that changed my life. What I heard was this. I heard, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife and heart twist. I was in a state of shock. I hit the off button and I was so shocked. It woke me up to realize there's a bigger game going on here. And I asked myself, why were they afraid to tell me the truth? And I realized at that moment, there's an invisible river of pressure that flows underneath every sales call you have with somebody. Now, you can't see it and they can't see it, but if you can figure out a way to remove the pressure from the conversation with somebody, then you'll be able to get to the truth of them. And that became my whole unlock the game premise and philosophy around how to detox yourself away from the sales cult. So you basically shift your thinking away from the act of selling and instead trust building. And my goal is to help you, other people out there who are still programmed in the sales cult of the old gurus who keep teaching us, keep chasing the sale. Don't worry about rejection. It's you, not them. And keep playing the numbers game. It's time to break free of that thinking.